they might not quite be right. They're off and running, and squeezed out in the early part was Apollo. Coming out very quickly off the inside was One of a Kind, taken on by Don Demiamo. The Grey Mooney Money Man's up the third, and then came Bayer Nehan. A break of 4 or 5 lengths back then to One of a Kind. Alongside of One of a Kind then was Peerless, and back with him was Mr. Von. At the tail of the field was Apollo. Well, there's about 14 lengths top to bottom as they run along at a pretty good speed here with about 1,000 metres left to travel. Getting to the front now, it is Don Demiamo. He leads a length in advance of One of a Kind. Up to third, Mooney Money Man. About 3 or 4 back then to Bayer Nehan as they run down the side. Followed then by, back behind them was Apollo, Mr. Von, Peerless, as they swing down towards the 750. Up front, Don Demiamo, a length in advance. Mooney Money Man has worked up to second. Then came back in third spot is One of a Kind. A break then of 4 or 5 lengths, but making ground is Cool Mum. Here's Peerless getting a go on from the tail of the field. A long gap then to Apollo, Mr. Von, and Bayer Nehan at the tail of the field. They're on the corner. On the inside, Don Demiamo taken on by, slipping right up the inside now is Cool Mum. He might have a narrow lead, Cool Mum. They're right across the track. Cool Mum in the centre. Don Demiamo's dropping off. Mooney Money Man running on strongly late down the outside is going to be Peerless, and One of a Kind in front though. Holding on is Cool Mum. Cool Mum beats so One of a Kind. Peerless next over the wire. Then came Mooney Money Man. They're off and running, and hey, Mark, well, he wasn't on his market. He's missed it by 4 and 5 lengths. Gentleman Bill came out running on the inside, but taken on and headed in the early part by Gentleman Bill, headed in the early part by Elias Starr. Gentleman Bill to second, Savakani to third, and then came around the outside of them was Hey Mark after that bad getaway. Then came Hakeem, drifting well back behind them was Buntang Serrato, is back at the tail of the field with Shanghai Silk, going at good speed as they run into the back, about 900 metres to travel. Elias Starr away with the 2.5 length lead. In second spot is Gentleman Bill. Third, Savawani on the inside of Gentleman Bill. Then came Hey Mark as they run towards that top turn. Well back behind them then was Bontang Serrato with Hakeem and Shanghai Silk. Big spread on the field as they run towards the home turn. There's about 12 lengths top to bottom. Elias Starr still travelling well for CP Henson. Elias Starr a length in advance, getting closer. Hey Mark, he's done a lot of work to get up to second, and then came Savawani. They're a mile in front of the rest, headed by Gentleman Bill. They're in the straight. Elias Starr is trying to lead all of the way, coming at him on the outside. Hey Mark, but Elias Starr skipped away with 150 to travel. Elias Starr is going to lead all of the way, and running down to the wire, Elias Starr and CP Henson win by 7. Second, Savawani. Third is going to be Hey Mark, followed in then by, pulling up off and running. Oh, now Colour Blast, he knuckled over at the start. The rider was almost out of the saddle, and that's John Alvin Goosey coming out very quick to lead on, settling down Amaranth, taken on by Vitreus, and booting up on the inside into a great spot, High Quality, back to fourth, then Mackie Boy. Then came Shining Thunder. Desirable came next. Now, after that ordinary getaway, Colour Blast is about 14 to 15 lengths off, and they're in the back. They've got 1,000 metres to travel, and travelling sweetly in front is High Quality. He leads 3 parts in advance, Amaranth. Pratted out 3 deep then is Vitreus, and back in the centre then Shining Thunder, and in that orange jacket. Over on the inside came Mackie Boy, about 4 or 5 back then Desirable, and Colour Blast is just starting to tack on as they swing down the side. 750 out in front and still holding sway is High Quality, getting closer, Amaranth. 3 deep the outside. Here's Vitreus making a move, followed then by just behind them Mackie Boy. Hunting the rail then is Shining Thunder, but he's under a ride. Then came Desirable, and then Colour Blast on the corner. On the inside, High Quality taken on by Amaranth. On the outside, Vitreus is still there. He's got a kick on the inside. Still High Quality. High Quality at the 250. Amaranth, the outside, might have a narrow lead. Amaranth and High Quality running on just fairly. Then Vitreus, but Amaranth starting to edge away, and Amaranth down to the wire. Too good, and he's going to beat Vitreus. Third over the wire, then Mackie Boy, and then came Desirable, followed by Off and Running. Broke in a good even line. Don Pedro was quickly into stride, and also Sultanov in the early part. And Iris, the well-fancied runner, coming across from a wide gate to sit outside of the leader. So Don Pedro, as they settle into stride, taken on by Iris. About 4 or 5 back then to Sultanov. Booting up on the inside, Ruled the World. And out 3 and 4 deep is Baraknar. Then came Blame the Ghost. And a long way back behind them then was Wildcat. They're in the back. They've got 1,000 metres to travel. Don Pedro, 3 parts in advance. Iris travels well on the outside. He's under double wraps at the moment, followed by 3 or 4 back, then Ruled the World. Sultanov in the centre. 3 and 4 deep is Blame the Ghost, doing a lot of work but creeps into the race, and then came back and pushed along Baraknar and Wildcat. Down the side with about 650 to travel, it's still Don Pedro, the grey, a length in advance. Now Iris has been pushed along now to stay in touch. Blame the Ghost has made steady ground wide, followed then by Sultanov back forth the rail, and then came Rule the World. Wildcat getting a bit closer as they round the bend for home at the 200. Don Pedro still in front. Blame the Ghost is coming through in the centre, and it is Don Pedro and Blame the Ghost. Blame the Ghost going out after Don Pedro. Blame the Ghost took a narrow lead, rattling home right down the outside as Wildcat. Blame the Ghost in front. Wildcat coming late. Blame the Ghost has beaten Don Pedro or Wildcat in a photo, then Ruled the World, followed by Iris, Baraknar. Blame the Ghost in the hands of J.O. Chiago. Off and running, and a bit of a ragged start, coming out very quickly. Doña Chiche, she's going to lean on settling down. A wide out then, Escondido's going forward to show some speed, and also booting up in the centre is Spaghetti Pababa, followed then by Freedom Lover, and down 2 or 3 back then to Ladybug Red. On the outside of them going forward was Perfect Blue. Then came Gavel, who's a good way back. He's worse than midfield. Stand in Faith on the back of him, followed then by wide out going forward was Tricky Road. About 4 or 5 back then to pushed along was King of Sipacot. He's back near the tail of the field with Snow White and company. As they run towards the 800 metre turn, they're strung out over about 10 or 12 lengths. Up front, it's Doña Chiche. Doña Chiche in second spot is Spaghetti Pababa, followed then by Freedom Lover and then Ladybug Red. And then came getting a little bit closer around the outside is Tricky Road. Pushed along then in the centre was, Escondido, rather Kentucky Rain, as they round the bend for home. Good spread on them as they straighten up for the run home. And Ladybug Red had raced up outside of Doña Chiche. Dropping off is Spaghetti Pababa. It is in front, Doña Chiche, trying to lead all of the way and making a good fist of it, and starting to edge away here from Ladybug Red. Doña Chiche goes from go to woe and beats Ladybug Red. Third is going to be Gavel, and then came back behind. Off and running though, standing in the gates and missing it by 3 and 4 lengths was Postmaster. Sahib wasn't quick into stride. Coming out very quickly though in the early part is going to be Push My Luck to take up the running. Push My Luck from Marengo, striding forward now around the outside and going into a handy spot as Big Lung Buhas, followed then by back behind them Sahib. 4 or 5 back to the horses in the similar colours, Misha and Clairvoyant. They raced together, and back at the tail of the field was Postmaster after an ordinary getaway. Line of 3 as they run by the 850. On the inside, we've got Marengo. In the centre, it is Push My Luck, and 3 deep the outside is Big Lang Buhas. Now getting closer on the inside is Misha, and with Misha is Clairvoyant, and on the back of them was Sahib as I speak, and a long way back to Postmaster as they roll down the side, and taking a clear-cut lead now. Marengo, there's a line of 4 behind Marengo. Very wide is Big Long Buhas, and in the centre then is Misha, and also now getting into the race on the outside of them was Push My Luck. Now a line of 5 as they straighten for the run home. Coming through on the inside is Clairvoyant. Clairvoyant taken on by Misha. Over on the inside, still whacking away is Marengo. Clairvoyant, though he's got a length and a half, 2 lengths now, make that 3 as Clairvoyant darts away from in second spot Misha, but Clairvoyant is going to beat Misha down to the wire. Third is Marengo, and then came Sahib, followed then by Postmaster. Starter holds them a moment. They're off and running. Now very slow into stride was High Dollar. He's missed it by 6 and 7 lengths. Coming out very quickly, Bid for Fame shows good speed in the early part with the Kiss. And out 3 and 4 deep on the outside of them is your favourite Victorious Babylin. Calenz, another fancied runner, boots up underneath them now into second spot against the rail. Then came Cat Bell, who races very keenly, getting up on heels in 5th spot. About 4 or 5 back then to Wild Is the Wind, then Frosty Raven. Club Havana's drifted back to a midfield position. Then came Brig left over, who's a good way back at the tail of the field. And after that ordinary getaway, High Dollars at the rear as they run towards the 850 corner. In the centre, it is Bid for Fame. Calenz, I should say, holds the inside. And now Cat Bell's moved up alongside him, so almost a line of 3. They shot away. They're about 4 and 5 in advance of Victorious Babylin, who's under a hard ride. And then came Wild Is the Wind, getting a little bit closer is the Kiss, and then tacking on around the outside as Brig left over as they round the bend for home. On the inside, Calenz races up to join Bid for Fame. They've got it between them. They're a mile in front of the rest. Bid for Fame, he's got a kick at the 250 and he darted away. Bid for Fame looking good for Navarosa, and he raced 3 lengths clear of Calenz, and it's all Bid for Fame. Bid for Fame down to the wire, wins by 4 from Calenz. Third over the wire was the Kiss, and then came Frosty Raven. Wild Is the Wind, a long way back was Victoria. Handy Gate 2. They're off and running, and very slow into stride was top of the line. He came out awfully. Coming out very quickly, Boss Uno goes straight to the front on settling down. Booting up on the inside to try and go with him as Malibu Princess, and in a handy spot then Danusa's Son. Back to 4th on the inside of them, Dreams of the World in the checks, and very, very keen. The rider's in a bit of bother there. Around the outside, Boss Uno after that ordinary getaway. Then Bahandi. Petron is at the tail of the field and about 8 lengths off them. Leader travels well up front, and he's pretty keen here on in second up front, I should say. Boss Unu leading in second spot is Malibu Princess, then Dreams of the World, followed then by, on the outside of them, is Danusa's Son. Going forward around the outside, doing plenty of work then, was the 6, and that is top of the line as they run down the side. Still in front and travelling okay, Boss Unu. 3 parts in advance. Getting closer is Dreams of the World, and then right around the outside, Boss Unu. Under the pump behind the Malibu Princess, and then followed by Danusa's Son. In the straight and on the inside, it's still in front. On the inside is Boss Unu with top of the line. Boss Unu wide out, top of the line, and in the centre, still battling away then, was Dreams of the World, but in front, Boss Unu. Dreams of the World is not done with. Dreams of the World, Boss Unu with a narrow lead. Boss Unu down to the wire. Boss Unu will beat Dreams of the World, and third is going to be top of the line as they cross the line, followed by Thy Will Be Done. They're off and running. Thy Will Be Done was very slow at a stride, and likewise Equitum. Coming out very quickly though was Tokyo Rumba, and he strides to the front with a big lead as they link up to the course proper. Tokyo Rumba leads from Masasang Tune in second. Back in third was Go Getting, and then came I Love Maddie, followed by Leviathan, and then well back behind them then was Equitum and Street Queen. But they run in the back. They've got about 800 metres to go. Got a big lead here. Tokyo Rumba is out by 4 and 5 lengths to Masayang Tune in second. About 4 or 5 lengths back then to Street Queen. And then came I Love Maddie, and followed then by Equitum, who's a good way back with Thy Will Be Done. On towards the home turn. He's going freely here. Tokyo Rumba. He's about 4 in advance. Of starting to close though is Masayang Tune, and also Street Queen on the rail, followed then by I Love Maddie, and then back on the inside, locked away then was Levitum, but around the bend for home on the inside, getting to the front, it is Tokyo Rumba in front, but here comes Equitum in the centre of the track, and he raced up and took the lead away. Here comes I Love Maddie right down the outside. In front, though, it's Equitum. Over on the inside, kicking back then was Surplus Boy, but Equitum wins the last from Surplus Boy. Then Street Queen, followed by Leviathan.